Blog Talk Radio.
On top. The Big Show.
Someday that karma is a bitch. Someday that karma is a bitch.
The Big Show.
Okay, so last week I had to travel to San Jose.
This is my friend
I called about 3 hotels. They didn't have anything apparently.
Bill Riley right out of it. You know
But I
that.
did
The
call
Big Show.
a hotel that had a room for me. I didn't know at the time.
It's the Big
it was
Show.
Hotel.
You're listening to Truth on Tap. You can call into this show and become a part of history. How about that? Call in at 347-308-8432. Tonight, the title is Killing Bill O'Reilly. And first thing I need to do is a disclaimer. Killing has nothing to do with murder. This is modeled after the movie Kill Bill. So I hope you see the thing there. The world, I certainly would never advocate violence on anyone. So don't even go there thinking that. It is a snazzy title, though, and I liked it. I decided on the spur of the moment to do this show. I do not have notes. I don't normally prepare notes or outlines for my shows because I find them more genuine and from the heart, I guess you can say, with a minimal ability to dance around subjects because everything is, A, packed into a tight 30-minute show, and B, I don't have a script to work from. It gives the whole show more of an authentic feel, I think. And that's part of the core of what I'm trying to do with Truth on Tap. Keeping it real, really. Not keeping it real superficially. Not keeping it real like the media does today. Keeping it real, really. You know the difference. I don't have to explain that to you. But what I do have to explain to you is that Bill O'Reilly is a dickhead. How about that, huh? I'm just coming right out and saying it. I mean, if you want to sum up this show in one sentence, Bill O'Reilly is a prick. He's a total prick. I'm not talking about the politics here. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm talking about the way you treat other human beings. And we're going to get into it a little bit about what makes him tick, in my view. First thing I'm going to say right off the bat is if Bill O'Reilly ever listens to this, if you can hear me, don't ever invite me on your show and then try to get up in my face or get nasty. And I can hear people now, oh no, Bill O'Reilly, 6'4" and intimidating. Well, I'm 6'5". I got 20 years of youth on you, and I will make you hurt so bad that somebody will have to do your loofah work for you. Okay? Don't ever invite me on your show. And it has nothing to do with the topic. It's your damn attitude. It's your piss-poor attitude. You think you can win arguments by yelling and getting angry. That is the first sign that someone doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know what they're talking about, and feels that they are losing. It is the defensive position. It is a place that one retreats to, that anger, when they can't continue to go on the offensive. If you think I didn't see when you called Alan Combs a liar recently because of his position on a policy, you showed me your lack of intelligence. And I have found a strong correlation between people who cannot keep their professional demeanor while in their profession and lack of intelligence. I don't know what the correlation means. I am not implying that correlation is causation. What I'm saying is I see a correlation. People who tend to blow up in a public environment, especially while at work, tend to have less intelligence. And you fit that model perfectly, Mr. O'Reilly. You're really a caveman in that sense, if I had to put it a certain way. You know, let's say that we're in, Neanderthal times, okay? Or for the newer scientists, they like to say Neanderthal. So there you are. You have your guest over, and you're banging rocks together or whatever, and he doesn't agree with you. He's saying something that challenges your point of view. This is the best you can do, Bill. You're back in the Neanderthal times. You're saying, just disagree. me scare guess, me hurt guess, me win argument. That's you, Bill. That sums it all up. You have not. I don't believe in the term evolution. I think we do I believe in evolution as it's described, but I think it misleads people because it makes you think that we're growing toward a better thing. And what I think it really is simply adaptation. You're just seeing the messy cutouts of what survived after Mother Nature introduced her challenges and at a given time. So I call it adaptation. I don't call it evolution because I think that's misleading. If I were calling it evolution, I would say Bill O'Reilly has not evolved. He is a knuckle-dragging caveman who doesn't know anything. He reads up, he gets an opinion, and he knows he can win it with anger. Don't ever try that on me. That's going to be an episode that you won't air. I guarantee you that much. And I encourage anybody, if you're listening to this, if you know somebody going on Bill O'Reilly's show, or if you yourself are going on, don't put up with his bullshit. As soon as he gets nasty, and especially if he says something like, I'm going to tear you apart, like he did to I think the boy's name was Jeremy, whose father died at 9/11. And I think his name was Jeremy. I may be wrong, but I'm using Jeremy anyway. Jeremy held his ground. He stayed firm, and he didn't crumble. He didn't get as aggressive as I would have, because I would have been up in Bill's face. But he kept his ground, kept his composure. That's impressive. That's impressive if you can do that. What's not impressive is when you put your tail between your legs and start agreeing with someone like Bill O'Reilly because you're afraid. What kind of wimp are you? What kind of courage do you have that kind of dearth of in order to be so scared that you will change your position in public on the fly out of fear? Shame on you if you've done that with anybody, but especially if you've done it with a pinhead, prickhead, dumbass like Bill O'Reilly. And what a prick he is. I don't like bullies. And that's really all you need to know about me to discover my motive for creating this episode. I really don't like bullies. Bill O'Reilly is a bully. He wins things through intimidation because he cannot win them with intellect. And I'll be the first to admit that I've lost a little bit of heart as I've gotten older, as I've reached into my 40s. And that means I'm not as passionate about this and describing my anger toward Bill. But there's a couple of things at work here, and I'm going to describe them in a little bit of depth. As you get older, the theory is that you gain in intelligence if you're a person who's actively learning. That's more than a theory. That's proven time and time again in any kind of controlled setting study empirically. So, is it the fact that Bill O'Reilly has not been studying, that he just finds a topic, picks an angle, and goes? Just that's how he makes his money? He knows he can appeal to that fear side of politics when he gets people that are already in his camp. He's not gaining new people. He's getting people already in his camp riled up using that primitive fear application. A sad thing, people, a very sad thing if you let that get you going because you're being used. You're being manipulated like a puppet. That's all you're doing. You're letting someone control you. That's really what it comes down to, control. But when it comes to the losing heart thing, and the term losing heart has a history, I tend to think of it as just losing a little bit of concern on various issues that you used to have. I think we all find ourselves typically more passionate at younger ages than we are at older ages. But I think this comes in line, and I'm tying it together for you here, with the intelligence growth. The more intelligent someone is, the more they understand, and the more they forgive, I want to say, the more tolerant they become, if you will. This is true. You see it every day. You see attorneys in the courtroom that never get, they've heard it all. You don't see them get upset. They're not letting emotion come into it because they don't really care about that side. Even though they'll use appeal to emotion to win a case, they themselves, no, not a good litmus test for emotion in the courtroom because they're not feeling it. They killed that part of themselves, at least professionally. And that's because they're professionals. In part, it's also possibly in part because some of their passion has died. So, yeah, I'm a little bit less intense than I would be on some prickhead, like Bill O'Reilly. And that's because I can win it with intellect, and I'm older and have lost some of my passion. So you've got two things at work there. Think about someone like Keith Olbermann, all right? Isn't he doing the same thing as Bill O'Reilly? Well, not exactly. Compare blow-ups. Keith Olbermann doesn't even have them, really, but he does get nasty. I think we can agree on that. Bill O'Reilly gets nasty. Bill O'Reilly tends to blow up. You can see veins popping out. He's ready to get physical, and God help him if he ever does that with me. He's going to need God's help. He gets physical with it. Keith Olbermann just has this, I think the right word I'm looking for is lascivious, this kind of slashing, verbal lashing that he deals to you when he's mad at you. And he's so good at it, and I think, but he really gets evil with it, very, very nasty. You can just, it's nasty stew. And as you may know, I tend to ride right on the center in politics, so I'm not pushing either one of these, but I am showing you a difference. And it comes down to intelligence. And Keith Olbermann has tons more of it than Bill O'Reilly. Whether or not Bill O'Reilly's staff is doing enough work for him to present good politics, that's for you to judge. But he's not doing it. He's getting on the megaphone and screaming about it. That's all he's doing. He's reading off the cue cards. Propagating that hate, making you hate what you already hate, but making you hate it worse. Same thing Rush Limbaugh does. Same thing a lot of people do. There are things I want to say about politics that I'm going to, I might as well screw it. I already know I'm going to lose some friends over this episode. Here's what I've noticed in my life looking at politics. I used to stay on the right, used to hang out on the right, because that's what my parents were. They were on the right. They were Republicans and diehard. What I've noticed about the Republican and the right side of things is that there tends to be a guardianship, a very guarded view over religion, guns, one's views. They're heavily guarded. They're not open-minded in general. Everything's in general here. I always have exceptions. They tend to want to reach out and attack the left instead of just promoting the right. That comes from them feeling threatened in general. What I've noticed is that the right is a strange combination of a group of people owned by big business and religion. Those are the two big players. This is all freestyle, folks. I haven't prepared this, so I'm just going off my gut. It tends to be that big business has successfully fooled a lot of people on the right into going against people on the left. Now, there are grains of people in both sides that I won't agree with, and I don't like their politics. But what I've noticed in general is that the intelligence runs much higher on the left. Why is that? Why would I think that as a center-line guy? It comes down to tolerance again. When people's minds are expanded with education, tolerance grows necessarily. When tolerance grows, anger shrinks. Do you understand that correlation? When tolerance grows, the anger that someone holds toward a certain position, religion, sex, race, behavior, shrinks. They have less anger toward it because they allow for empathy in their minds. They have empathy toward someone else instead of just worrying about themselves. Now, I've got friends that are on the right. I can respect that. I think it's very common where I live. I live in a if you will, a Bible Belt section of my town in Virginia. But I can't, as a premise of this show, protect them and our friendships from my views. I would ask them, please remain my friend. Let me have a difference in opinion and debate with me. But if you find that it's just too coarse of a feel, my view here, I'll understand if you can't really associate with me. That's, people are what they are, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And I'm not saying it's immature. You just might be passionate about something. Some might say it's immature to lose a friend over political viewpoints or religious viewpoints. So be it. This show about Bill O'Reilly came into my head actually some days ago. But I said, well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to go and I'm going to collect evidence on this one because I want to hammer him down as hard as I can because I don't like the way he treats people. I am the anti-bully go-after guy. I am, when you see a bully and you see me, you can already put money in the bank that bets on me going after the bully. Do you understand my view on that? Bullies silence what could be good ideas. They are ball and chain on the ankle of thought progress. Okay? And that's not cool with me, and it never will be. The way Bill O'Reilly deals with people is much a product of his upbringing. The core anger that he feels, and if you haven't seen it, I'm asking you, please, even if you're a huge fan of his, go on YouTube, look up Bill O'Reilly angry, and just look at the first 5 clips. Okay, you've captured the core of his personality. And the core of his personality is something he can't control, and that's the anger. That's the anger. Now, what you say politically, you may have a lot of good points. How much of the work he does versus his staff? I'm leaning toward more of his staff. I think when he started out, he did more of his own work, but I think more of his staff does his research now. He just puts his policy out and says, make it to the right, make it lean to the right, protect my religion, protect my thoughts, don't bring in new ideas, don't surprise me with anything, and write my script. I'll be in at the show. And there it is. On the left, I see people bouncing around ideas, especially when it comes to progressing socially. And that can include scientific areas of social behavior, whether you're getting into solar power, wind power, and they have their own problems if you've watched some of the documentaries about them. Whether it gets into anything that might be an alternative fuel source to get us off of fossil fuels, the willingness to understand science for what it is, global warming, man is having an effect on it. This is not an illusion. This is not a scam to make money. The science is there. The carbon levels are extremely high over anything they have been in at least 15,000 years. They actually go back millions of years now. But it's something we've got to pay attention to. And maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe man's output of pollution isn't the thing doing it. Maybe there's a crack in the earth somewhere, releasing a bunch of carbon, okay? Whatever's going on, the carbon is soaring. The carbon levels are soaring, and the global warming is going to happen. And there are so many people out there that think global warming just means, oh, it's going to get too hot on Earth. They don't understand. I know somebody close to me, and this is how I believe people like Bill O'Reilly think. It's a very simple view. Somebody close to me who will go out in the weather that in the summertime, if it's a cool day, say the late spring, it's 30 degrees. First thing you'll say, and they say there's global warming. Okay, that person needs to go read a book because it doesn't quite work like that. Global warming, we're talking 1 or 2 degrees Celsius here, people, that melts ice caps, that drops the fresh water into the salt water, decreasing salinity, that can completely put a stop to, in the worst-case scenario, the currents that make the oceans go the way they go, make our weather systems do what they do. And the fallout from that is phenomenal. It's deadly. And it's something we have to do something about. So when it comes to people like Bill O'Reilly and the way he treats his guests, all he has to do is say, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I think it's this. Thank you for coming on this show. He thinks that it's okay to just give somebody the last word. And half the time he doesn't even give them the last word. He ends up saying something anyway. Anybody can do that. I'll be happy to give you the last word. Is that somehow making up for his assholedness? I don't know. that's not really the way to do it, in my view. Giving something, appearing to set yourself up in a weak spot in order to cover up your bulliness. That's an illusion that you're falling into there if you believe that makes everything fair. What it means is he can't handle new information. He can't handle it. He's got his belief system so well guarded that when you come in with new ideas, you're a wacko. You're a pinhead. You don't know anything. You're lying. Rah, 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 rah. And that's him. That's his growl. That's his bark. That's his bite. It's all the same flavor. It's ridiculously stupid in nature and unevolved and immature and a sign of low intelligence. And I would love to just be on his show one time and show you how you handle a Bill O'Reilly, but I guarantee you that show would not make it to air. It would not make it to air, I guarantee you, because he wouldn't want to embarrass himself. What am I saying about this? I'm saying that if you deal with people in a public position and you are a total asshole, screw you. That's what I'm saying. It's hard enough. People don't need help having a bad day. Do you understand that? Life is hard enough. I take this view on negativity in general. I avoid negativity everywhere. When I find it, I either kill it or I move away. In fact, I have a Facebook page called The Negativity Hitman, which is just starting to pick up some steam. I move away. If I find negative people, I get them out of my social circles. Okay, this comes from a pact that my youngest sister and I made about 4 or 5 years ago to just get negative out, get it out. That means negative thoughts. That means negative people. And that means negative places. If you've got places that have some hidden skeletons that keep jumping out at you, even avoiding those. Because you have no real chance at happiness in this world until you get rid of the negative people, places, and things. Do you understand that? That is accurate. And you can test that any way you want to. This wisdom will stand for 10 million years. If you don't get the negative out, you cannot find true happiness, which involves peace. People like Bill O'Reilly will never have true happiness. Bill O'Reilly himself will never have true joy in his life. He has anger. He has this inspired need to go after those who disagree with him rather than just try to support his positions. He does a little bit of both, but he's more on the belligerent side. He wants to go start the fight. I hope there's more people like me that end up on his show, that when you come to start the fight, you came to start the fight with the wrong guy. Instead, Bill, how about studying up, getting educated on some of these issues, and supporting your point with facts and data rather than screaming? Is that possible, or are you not capable of that? Have your staff write it in. They can do the research if you can't, and I'm starting to question whether or not you really can. Have your staff do the research to give a lot of support to your points so you don't have to blow a vein when you get angry when someone challenges you. It's immature. It's disrespectful. It is unprofessional. Nobody likes it except for the ditto heads that believe everything you say because they're kind of weak and they just need to be programmed, looking for a hero. Sad. And I've noticed this in general, too. I might as well stay on this political issue. When it comes to, you have your libertarians, you have your left and your right. There are many other political positions. It's not all left and right. What I've noticed is that the left and the libertarians tend to show up on less talk shows, less radio shows. And I dare say, whereas on the right you have your Rush Limbaugh, you can go on down the line. And think about when Piers Morgan had on that one radio host who just went off about trying to get Piers Morgan expatriated, essentially sent out of the United States, I guess, deported, if you will, because of his views on handguns. I'm not here to talk about those politics. First of all, I believe in the First and Second Amendment, and that they kind of hold hands together. And no one's going to take your guns from you, people. No one's trying to take your guns from you. I tend to notice that those who have shows tend to be more on the right. There are more shows from the right. Why is that? Why aren't there more on the left? Somebody said this, and I'm having a hard time disagreeing with it. It wasn't my original idea. They said because people on the left are educated enough that they don't need somebody to do their thinking for them. Now, you can go ahead and decide if you ascribe any credit to that statement. The more I look, the more I have to agree with that statement. The people on the right just want to adopt a role model rather than doing the harder work of dissemination. That is, weighing the evidence by way of looking up the facts, challenging the facts, seeing which ones are legit, which ones are more of a opinion shaped into a fact. I would recommend that you find valid, legitimate fact-checking sites and organizations and follow them closely. Now, the argument stands that some of them may have slants, right or left, whatever, libertarian, doesn't matter, will have slants. That may be true, but if you keep looking, you begin to find the center line. That is fact, pure fact. You know, if so-and-so politician said that he served 3 years on a board and he served 1.8 years, the fact is he lied. You understand that? That's the kind of fact I look for. And that makes me think of that politician in a different way once I know he's lying. Use your fact-checking sites and try to avoid the ones that lean to the left or right. You can do your research on that. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised if you're extreme left or extreme right. You'll be really surprised how much you'll be torn back toward the middle. Am I smarter than Bill O'Reilly? Yeah, I think I am. I think it's safe to say that. I feel smarter than him because I think I've caught a lot of his mistakes live when he makes them and not had to look them up. Is there any relationship between my intelligence and my demeanor versus his intelligence and his demeanor? I think there is. I think the evidence is shaping up to show that. I hope I haven't offended too many people with this. It certainly wasn't my intent to offend people, but rather to stand up for those getting bullied, rather to tell somebody in a public position who's way too domineering that he better hope he doesn't get people like me on his show because he's going to lose his status. People need to stand up for themselves and not cower to bullies. And if you thought bullying was done when you left grade school, Bill O'Reilly proves you were wrong, doesn't he? He's an asshole. He will always be an asshole. He is narrow-minded. He's a pinhead. He uses projection often, which is that he's calling people names that he himself believes he is. And that way he's intelligent, at least for the self-diagnosis. In other ways, he's not. What it comes down to is you should never let anybody bully you. If you're in a public position, in a position in the public, dealing with the public, use a little bit of courtesy. Everybody's fighting their own battle. They don't need you being an asshole, too. Use a little bit of courtesy, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of tolerance. That's all for this show. I can't put it any more simply than that. You've been listening to Truth on Tap with your host, Kevin Kierstead. I hope you'll tune in next time on Friday. We will have a paranormal show that's on every Friday. And we routinely throw on shows in the middle of the week. So make sure to check in, follow, check it out on the Facebook. That's facebook.com, Truth on Tap Show, or go to Blog Talk Radio, Truth on Tap. Thank you.